What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, we are filming live from the Sprite Love-nasium. And we are going to be breaking down the Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer. And we would like to thank, sponsoring us in this video, the most refreshing and tasty drink in the cosmos. And you might want to grab yourself a Sprite and a snack, because I got a feeling this video may be a tad long. This trailer opens up with MJ and Peter on a rooftop, and MJ is reading a paper, and nice little touch, you see Ditko in graffiti in the back, which is a cool shout out to Spider-Man's co-creator, Steve Ditko.
I also really like the little music sting that you hear in the very beginning. It's, the normal Spider-Man music that you would hear from the old animated series, Spider-Man, but it's like slowed down a little bit. I like it.
Yeah, it's very subtle.
And MJ is saying,
Parker's powers include the male spider's ability to hypnotize females.
Stop, come on.
Yes, my spider lord.
which I thought was really well done. And then Peter says,
Can we just stay up here all day? It is so crazy down there.
and I don't think they're just talking about his school, they're talking about the rest of the trailer, the movie, and the MCU with the multiverse breaking apart. So, I think that was talking more than just the trailer, and I'm looking forward to all of this wackiness abounding in the MCU.
So I do have to ask, when he says that and they show him, swinging through the skyscrapers, as you see the Spider-Man menace thing going all over, I was under the assumption that the DailyBugle.net was sort of, just an Alex Jones-esque kind of web show or something. Why is it plastered all over downtown Manhattan? Why is it getting so much play when it's supposed to be, this almost unknown entity?
Maybe it is something like a nightmare for Peter. Reliving it, and that's what makes him go to Doctor Strange. It's haunting him, knowing all the stuff that's going on and all that.
That's actually a good theory.
Then we see Peter handcuffed to a table and being interviewed by the Department of Damage Control, which I thought was a little odd. He was at least wearing a Department of Damage Control jacket, so I don't know if it was an agent. He was just wearing that to be a little more deeper undercover. Peter claiming his innocence, and the agent saying,
drones that are yours.
I think the whole reason behind the Department of Damage Control, I feel like, at least in the MCU, they must be kind of a stand-in for S.H.I.E.L.D. at the moment, since, it's not existent. SWORD just had their little, shake-up with the whole WandaVision thing, so there must not be any sort of, board of control for superheroes, so I assume that's why they're kind of standing in. It's like, what do you do? Who do you take a superhero to for issues? Who's going to bring up the Sokovia Accords and everything and make sure everybody stays in line?
I mean, Department of Damage Control sounds like a department within S.H.I.E.L.D., Obviously, S.H.I.E.L.D. ain't there, but you know what I mean?
no, it doesn't.
It's like they want to talk to him before, the press gets to him. So that might be an opening scene in the movie right there.
Could be. You're absolutely right.
And then being on the roof is after they've determined that he's not not guilty.
Do you think that this version of Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man, would have been able to break those handcuffs?
Yes, easily.
Absolutely.
Does any part of you feel relieved about all this?
What do you mean?
MJ is asking Peter if his secret being out has any positives. But it has created a circus at school with people protesting and supporting him, and I won't go into anything about that devil picturing Mephisto.
Thank
Much
you.
as I want to.
I really thought for sure that you were going to start all over again and it was going to be WandaVision again.
It's not Mephisto.
I know. I honestly think this is Marvel trolling people at this point, going, oh, you want to talk about Mephisto all the time? Let's put a little devil on Peter and let's see where that goes. Mephisto is not showing up in Spider-Man No Way Home. I think when he does get cast, I really hope we see the headlines, Mephisto confirmed. Because no one will believe it, because there's been, every YouTuber in the world has had that headline on one of their videos. And then we see all the crowds in the hallway, and Peter never wanted to lie, but it protected his loved ones. He said, it felt bad not telling MJ, but he made a good point. How do you tell someone that you're Spider-Man?
He has been kind of the standout hero in the MCU. As far as I know, everyone else, like, they didn't have a secret identity. Starting all the way back with Iron Man, who announced on camera, "I am Iron Man." So it does make me wonder, like, why they even had it in there to begin with. I am glad for this little explanation. Look, I didn't want to lie, it was to protect you. Because, again, he was the standout hero that did have a secret identity, and I don't think anybody else ever did.
And then we see Aunt May and Peter watching the telly when their heads turn to the front door. Who is coming into that room?
See, I think that was the Department of Damage Control, because you see sirens, lights outside the window in that scene as well. Police lights, it looked like.
I thought that at first too, and then as I was watching the trailer, we see later like an apartment blown up, and we see Happy sitting outside, and we see like agents kind of looking around. I think someone shows up and gets them out of there. I don't think Peter goes and talks to Damage Control until after that thing is destroyed. Someone's coming after him, whether it be the Green Goblin.
That could have been a pumpkin bomb.
It could have been, and they're kind of keeping him safe, but also interviewing him. Once again, the reason why Damage Control is there is because something was blown up by a hero or something.
Okay.
So it's either that, or maybe it's Tobey Maguire running in to save him, or
You mean dancing in to save him?
dancing. Yes.
Yeah.
We see Ned being interviewed and Aunt May being interviewed, and Peter thinking about how to fix all this, and that's when he sees that Doctor Strange-looking ornament. Is that supposed to be Doctor Strange and kind of like a Halloween thing, since he's a superhero in that universe? Okay.
You have to think that there's going to be some... These people are very famous. They've saved the world multiple times, so everybody knows who Doctor Strange is. Again, going back to the fact that, like, the vast majority of the superheroes do not have secret identities. You think back to that discussion that took place in WandaVision, how they were talking so nonchalantly about the final Thanos battle in Endgame. So this must be just a thing that happens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where Doctor Strange is such a well-known character, they probably have Halloween decorations because he's a magic guy. So, put a little witch hat on him. And
Then we see the Sanctum Sanctorum filled with snow.
What, did they never fix the roof after the Hulk came down? That was, 7 years ago now in Marvel time?
Yeah.
So I don't know what was causing that. My first thought was it must have been a spell that one of them had cast, because it looked like this was all taking place during, spring or fall or summer or something. It was sunny out when they were up on the roof.
Remember the 3 doors we saw in Doctor Strange, where one was like a desert, one was like a snow area? Maybe something happened and that's opened and that's what's causing it. Or you're right, some spell went bad and
that was my
caused
initial thought,
this, weather pattern to be inside the building.
It's hard to tell when exactly this all takes place, because it's not very clear. We see him in school at one point, and like I said, we see them outside and it looks sunny, but who knows the length of time that this movie takes place in.
It's funny what Doctor Strange is wearing too. He's wearing
Yes,
a hoodie,
yes,
but he's
I
still
love that.
wearing
The cape.
and the other stuff to make him look like a wizard.
Well, it makes... I saw that too, and my first thought was, maybe he didn't put the cape on, but the cape likes him so much.
Oh, that could be.
It latched onto him.
Someone shows up so the cape comes out.
Right.
Is there, I'm here too.
Right.
Then we see Peter with his mask off running through Feast, which is the sort of homeless charity that Aunt May has. It's more of a Spider-Man video game thing, but I think they're kind of welding that into this movie. Maybe part of the multiverse is the Spider-Man gameverse.
Was that the same organization that she was with in the last movie too?
I believe so, yes, but it was never
named.
Never named, yes. Then we see Wong telling Strange not to do the spell when he's leaving. We are assuming it's for the Shang-Chi fighting tournament, so he can, take out Abomination.
Obviously, this movie comes out after that. So does that mean it's displaced, like Spider-Man actually happens at the same time
It could.
as Shang-Chi?
Good question. You should ask him that when we get there.
And then Doctor Strange winks at Peter and agrees that he won't do it to Wong. And then to the basement they go. We see Doctor Strange starting the spell, and of course Peter is freaking out over the fact that everyone will forget that he is Spider-Man. He still wants Ned, MJ, Aunt May, and all of them to know
Who he is.
Yeah, who he is, basically. And Peter's incessant talking causes the spell to go awry. Or is it something else?
I think it is. So, this is my Doug theory. I see runes appearing within this magic spell, and I don't believe, I've looked back and I watched the original Doctor Strange movie, and I've never seen him cast a spell using runes. So this is either, in my opinion, possibly not Doctor Strange, I don't think it's Mephisto, or this is the MCU trying to retcon the whole, well, you know, this is how magic now works after WandaVision, now that she isn't so much a mutant anymore as she's, you know, a witch with magic powers, or I don't really know, like, what they're going with, other than the fact that the Infinity Stone didn't give her powers, she just always had them, and this is how magic looks.
And to me, when I see that, I just think it's a different kind of spell.
And Wong did say it was very powerful, so perhaps he needs that augmentation of the runes to help. Because even Wanda did spells, and Agatha did spells without the runes, but the runes could, you know, limit other magic users from doing things. And maybe it is a rune of, you know, no magic entanglement, so no one else can do in there. Because I was thinking too, as it happened, you know, Doctor Strange has made a lot of enemies in his short time in the MCU. Maybe it's Dormammu messing up with it. He's still sitting out there probably pretty upset with what happened in the Doctor Strange movie. So I don't necessarily think it was Dormammu, but I'm thinking, okay, who could
This
have
is
done
for
something?
protection.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention that Peter had to be within those runes. You know, he asked him to come into those runes when he was doing the spell. So what was the reason for that?
Maybe.
Because is everyone outside those runes affected?
Probably.
Or just Peter's affected?
That's a good theory, I like that. So if he would have been outside the runes, then he could have forgotten himself that he was Spider-Man.
Right, something like that. Yeah.
We see a lot of realities when the spell crashes, kind of like when Doctor Strange was sent by the Ancient One through the multiverse. And is this at the same time as Sylvie stabbing Kang, or He Who Remains, since all time is happening at the same time? Could we be seeing a little bit of, it's not all Doctor Strange's fault, it's not all Peter's fault, it's not all Sylvie's part, it's not all He Who Remains, kind of setting this up, but there's a bunch of things happening at once. Wanda with the Darkhold, Sylvie killing He Who Remains, and then Doctor Strange kind of losing control of this spell.
I don't buy any of that myself. I don't think it all that, you know, because I've heard it from multiple people. I don't think they all coincide. I don't know. I think people are looking into it a little bit too deeply. I also think that the fan theories and like the theories you come up with, and you are a fan, so you're one of them.
And don't forget Doug's theories.
Oh, that's true.
Patented.
I'm not a fan.
You're not. You hate it. I hate.
I hate all of this so much. No.
It's gonna be better than what we're gonna see on the screen. I think. Maybe not in this movie, but overall in the scheme of all the, you know, everything coming into a interweaving story, I think the fan theories are going to be so much better than what actually happens.
Yeah, I still go back to thinking that a lot of our theories in WandaVision probably would have been way better than a boner joke. My opinion.
I still think a lot of things are going to play out. We are still very early on in Phase 4, and I think Marvel has enough fans and enough leeway that they can let things slow burn now. They're not going to reveal that that's, you know, Evan Peters was actually Quicksilver yet. They're going to let it play out, and then, you know, the whole boner joke will be like, oh, I can't believe they did that. But I think we're going to see things, because we're even hearing rumors now that there's going to be a fight between Wanda and an X-Men in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Some sites are reporting it's going to be Professor X. Nothing has been confirmed. But, you know, a lot of these fans' theories, while some of them are good, some of them are terrible too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, a lot of it is this whole, you know, fan service done wrong. They want to see something and they're going to say, I want this to happen, when it would make no sense to the overall, you know, contingency of the universe. And I think with them having stuff planned out so far, they're setting little markers, and it's just going to play out, you know, over the next 10 years. And by the end of it, we'll probably be like, damn, they did so much in the early on stuff that didn't finish until, you know, almost the end. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot with all of some of the earlier show stuff.
Imagine if they started playing the Phoenix Saga right now.
Oh,
That's what they would have to do.
I would love to see it
That'd
done
be
right for
perfect.
once. You know.
If you're gonna slow play something, that's what you gotta do right there.
You have to. It's just like that and the whole Spider-Man and Venom thing. It could work on screen, but you can't have them get the outfit, lose the outfit, and fight Venom all in the same movie. You know, part of the reason why I think Venom was such a good villain is because Spider-Man was using that symbiote for good for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he realized what it was a lot more heartbreaking for him to lose it, and it turned into one of his biggest enemies. Same thing with Jean Grey. When she was the Phoenix Force, she did so much good before she turned bad. And that worked. That worked a lot better than Dark Phoenix, where it's like, hey, I got the Phoenix Force, now I'm evil and I'm going to try to murder everybody.
Right. Yeah.
I think that
There's
is
no
one of the difficult things of taking like media that is spread out over several issues of a comic book or several episodes of a TV show and trying to cram it into a movie. We saw that problem with Avatar: The Last Airbender film. They tried to take, an entire season of a show and terribly smash it into a movie, and that the result was that which we shall not talk about.
We can call it what it is: utter garbage.
So yeah, having 2 attempts at the Phoenix Saga try to be created, and both of them failures, in my opinion. I would love to see it slow burned out with proper planning by the MCU.
And we don't need The Last Stand or Dark Phoenix ever again. If you notice, the runes and the things are very parallel when the spell is going well. As soon as it kind of flies off the handle, you see them kind of tilted and intermingling. And I think that's kind of a representation of the multiverse kind of converging into other realities. And that's where we're going to see, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man characters showing up and all that other stuff. I thought that was kind of a nice little nod right there. Then we hear Doctor Strange saying,
"We tampered with the stability of space-time."
We see New York sucking in on itself. Very,
Doctor Strange
Strangey.
1 is?
Yeah, so was that the mirror dimension that they were in?
I think so. It
That's what I
definitely
thought, too.
appeared like it, and he says,
Multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little.
we know Dave loves the multiverse more than anyone. So and then we see lightning in what looks like a sandstorm. Now we know Jamie Foxx has been confirmed for this movie, reprising his role as Electro. Please be better than the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Thomas Hayden Church, yes. Is he showing back up? That has not been confirmed.
I kind of hope so. I thought he did a really good job as Sandman. That was, for all the problems that movie did have, the casting wasn't the worst part of it.
I would hate to see that movie. This movie, because this is the first Phase 4 project that I've really been excited about, and I hope they don't try and pack too much into it.
I think it's good that they have, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming soon. So you're right. They can have some threads running in Spider-Man so it's not overcrowded, and then finish some things out, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, so it's not overwhelming from one movie. But I agree.
They can make a 2-part movie.
And then we see Strange without the cloak of levitation on a train, and it is breaking off into multiple trains. Is this a metaphor for the multiverse?
That's what I assumed it was. I took it as him trying to teach Peter about the multiverse.
Yeah.
And this is a good visual representation of it.
I just want David to be taking notes in the movie at this point. So. But my first thought too, I don't think it's right, is this a different Strange? Could this be a Strange from another part of the multiverse that maybe hasn't had dealings with Spider-Man? I think it's more a teaching thing once you guys said that, but that was my first thought when I saw it.
The problem is you trying to live 2 different lives.
And then the problem is you trying to live 2 different lives, and we see Strange push Peter's astral frame out of his body, and he's holding a box. Spider-Man is holding a box. And Doctor Strange has a very sort of sinister look on his face while he's doing this. Was Peter trying to steal some artifact from the Sanctum Sanctorum? And that's what that box is.
In my opinion, I don't know what the box is, but I think it's still part of that same training that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And he, that line where he says, "You are trying to live 2 separate lives." He's going to show him, boom, what that looks like. He knocks him out of his body, and then you can go through the whole conversation thing like they did with the Hulk. So it's another teach. He's showing him how different his life could be. Maybe that's what we're seeing as the multiverse. Maybe he sees other Spider-Men while he's out of his body.
So he's seeing the Andrew Garfield and the Tobey Maguire.
Yes.
Could very well be.
Perhaps. I'm not saying. I didn't write it.
And then we see Iron Spider on a bridge, looking like he's ready to rumble. And we hear Strange, the longer you do it, the more dangerous it becomes. So it sounds like he's kind of warning Peter, hey, you're doing this. And maybe it's having another Spider-Man in the universe to be like, see, I ain't Spider-Man, I'm right here. And Spider-Man's, swinging around up there fighting people. which then would bring in all the villains also possibly. And then we see what we talked about earlier. We see an apartment that was attacked and destroyed with Happy looking on. So I've had a few thoughts about this, and as I watch it, I think, how many people, now that they know Peter is Spider-Man, I think they know that Peter is Spider-Man, would do something like this. And the first one that came to mind was a scorpion. Because remember, in the post-credit scene from Homecoming, he's talking to the Vulture and he goes, you know who he is, don't you? And he's like, no, don't know. So he could definitely be coming after him. It could be the Green Goblin from the Raimi universe. It could be any number of these people wanting to get revenge against Spider-Man.
Do you think the Vulture will return as a villain, or do you think he's got this sort of mutual respect for Peter now?
I think he has that sort of respect for Peter right now. He may turn and try to get Peter for something else, but I think, and it's funny you say that, because in a scene coming up here, we see electricity attacking Spider-Man, and something is raising up, protecting him with some type of a shield, and it looks like sand to me. It's a really quick scene. We'll freeze it here and we'll show you, but it could be if Thomas Hayden Church is reprising his role as Sandman. At the end of Spider-Man 3, he left on a good note. Yeah. He was like, what I did was wrong. Exactly. Yeah. So they could be carrying over all the story points from these movies and having it still be. Electro wasn't redeemed at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Actually, nothing was redeemed.
No.
Any of us in that movie.
Not even.
But, Sandman was.
So is Doc Ock, though, too.
Yes, he did. But I got something about that, too.
Oh, all right.
Oh, here it comes.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Hold on.
We'll get to that when we get to that part of it. But we also see a scene, Peter standing there, and something is jumping out at him from behind. And it looks like it's the Lizard to me. I've slowed it down, went frame by frame, and it kind of looks like the Lizard. And it almost looks like he's hitting plexiglass and then bouncing back. So we are lining up a bunch for the Sinister Six in this movie. Now, whether they're all going to be against Spider-Man, we don't know yet. Because we do see, this is where we see Sandman, looks like he's raising up a shield to protect Spider-Man from Electro. And then, in one of my favorite scenes of this entire trailer, we see a pumpkin bomb rolling onto the freeway as we hear Green Goblin laughing on the George Washington Bridge. And it's William Dafoe, Green
His
Goblin
voice,
laughter,
yeah.
which is awesome. But it is also, the George Washington Bridge is where, the Green Goblin killed Gwen Stacy in the comics. So I think it's very interesting they chose that place. And the fact that they were probably sitting around going, we're going to have to bring Green Goblin into these movies at some point. We can't do better than William Dafoe. You know what? Let's just break the multiverse and bring William Dafoe in.
But will they use
Jonah Jameson?
Will they use the same Power Ranger uniform that he had in the Raimi films?
They should, if they're breaking up the multiverse.
It would make sense.
Yeah, should wear the same outfit.
And then we hear Strange saying, "Be careful what you wish for, Peter." And then we see a lady kind of staring at Peter from her car, and I think we know who this is. It's Dave's mom.
Thank you, Ryan Airy.
Is this time kind of slowing down, like his spider sense is going off? Because the lady does not seem to be moving, where Peter does. And I think it's, they've sometimes have displayed his spider sense with Peter Tingle as kind of a slowing down and him kind of realizing danger is about. And that is where we see Doc Ock's tentacles, and note that they are red. And according to Spider-Man 2, when the tentacles are in control, they're red. When Doc Ock is in control, they were white. So, once again, they are pulling the story points forward from these movies, if that's accurate, not just something they didn't think about. But I think they did. And the reason why he may be attacking Peter at that point is because the tentacles are in control and not Doc Ock, which we could see him gain back control at some point here. And then we hear, so beautifully delivered,
Hello, Peter.
I loved that line. That was perfect.
And you know what? Maybe they're friends at that point. You'd say maybe regains control of the, the arms, and then he's just like, "Hey, man, what's up? I'm here to help."
I think we all kind of agree it's probably a trailer trick when they show Tom Holland's Spider-Man right after that. He probably would recognize Tom Holland as Spider-Man unless this is later in the movie that's already been established. But there are a couple theories. One, it's a trailer trick, and Tobey Maguire is actually there,
Yeah,
and he recognizes him.
that's my vote. I gotta vote for that.
Tobey Maguire has not been confirmed with this film, but he's in the movie. My other thought is, what if part of this living two lives thing that Doctor Strange is talking about is Peter being able to go into these other universes and be the Peter Parker of that universe? So while we see Tom Holland, everyone else sees Tobey Maguire. I know Quantum Leap did it for many years where they would have that. I know Quantum Leap is everyone's favorite show. But I think it could be something like that also. You know, obviously we don't know, and it's just speculation based on, you know, a 2-minute trailer. But I think we may see them converge at the end. All three Spider-Man coming together to kind of fight off whatever of the Sinister Six is actually against them and who isn't. But I think in the beginning of the film, maybe the first or second act, Tom Holland may be learning about the multiverse by being in other bodies. Just a theory. But that's what we saw in the video and what we thought. What are your guys' thoughts? Add us at Twitter, leave it down in the comments below, and we will see you next time at Not Your Status Quo.